team, what's going on? Today we're going to talk about taking your preschooler to the park. And it occurred to me while I was there with Hawk earlier last week that it can be really challenging when you have a second one with you. So when you're going with just a toddler or with a preschooler, not an issue because you only have one of them. You can devote all of your attention to them. However, when you're taking more than one or you've got a baby that you need to be focusing on, it becomes a little bit more challenging. So this video is all about 10 tips in order to help you to be more successful when you're taking your preschooler or your toddler to the park. So let's jump in. Tip number one. Tip number one is to choose a color. So you may choose red, you may choose blue, you may choose pink, whatever it may be, choose one color and try to stick to that color. So this one color is the color that you are going to dress your child. So you might want to look at buying all red hats or all blue hats, for instance. It's a whole lot easier to do that than to try to be dressing your child in the same color of t-shirt, for instance, every day. So for us, we have blue as our color, so whenever we go to the park, I put a blue hat on my son. It's a bright blue hat. It's really easy to spot so that if I look down for a minute and then look up, I can very quickly pick him out and figure out where he is at on the play structure or at the park. So choose a color and stick to that one color. Tip number one. Tip number two is to set up shop. You never really know how things are going to go with kids, so if you have the time, then give yourself the time. Take what you're going to need for the rest of the day. So take a blanket, create a nice little space, bring other options for your kids so that they can take a little bit of a break from playing, so they can maybe come over, have a read through a book, play with a toy before they go back to the play structure. So set up shop the best that you can. Tip number three is pack a snack. Now this snack ideally should be able to double as the next meal. So if you have been out at the park for a long period of time, you see that your child is still engaged, you're trying to follow the lead of the child, then you want to make sure that this snack could actually double as their meal so that you don't have to worry about racing home in order to get your child fed. We all know that a hangry toddler or a hangry preschooler does not make a good situation for anyone. So pack a snack. It's really for you more than it is for them. Tip number four is to plan to stay longer. So that kind of piggybacks off of my last point. If your child is having a good time playing, they're really engaged with their peers or whoever they're playing with, then let them continue to play. That's how they learn, that's how they grow. So plan on staying longer than you had originally anticipated, if that's a possibility. Tip number five is to pack a change of clothes. If you are anywhere near water, be it a body of water, be it a puddle, be it a splash pad, I guarantee you that your child is going to end up in that water in one capacity or another. Or if they have an accident or they fall down, it's nice to just have that backup pair of clothes. So tip five was pack an extra pair of clothes. Tip number six is to load yourself an audiobook. So this tip is for you and not for your child. Well, it is still for your child at the same time because it is about the safety of your child. So while your child is playing, if your little one is napping, amazing, you've got a little bit of time to yourself, so it's nice to scroll through social media, etc. But we can so quickly and easily get sucked into that social media and forget to do that glance up to look at our kid. So scrap the social media altogether, catch up on it later, and instead load yourself an audiobook so that you're able to listen while still watching your child or your children while they are playing. Tip number seven, water. Water for you and water for your playing child. It's so easy to become dehydrated, and kids, especially when they're engaged in play, will forget to come back and hydrate. So I frequently call my son over, I tell him that it's time to have a hydration break, which that is what he calls it now. Super cute when a 3-year-old tells you that he needs to hydrate. So pack water and call your child over and remind them to drink about every 15 minutes to half an hour, even if it's just a quick sip, in order to prevent them from becoming dehydrated. Tip number 8, as my son likes to call it, HANITIZE. So that is bring some hand sanitizer with you. We have a lot of just the little bottles. We've got some big bottles at home, and then we fill up the little bottles in order to take them to the park with us, or when we're just going out in the community. We're still in the middle of a pandemic. We don't know what we could be picking up at any time. So the best thing that you can be doing for your family is to make sure that you're protecting them, but also protect other families. So when you first get to the park, hanitize your kid. So have them put on a little bit of hand sanitizer, make sure that their hands are clean, just in case your child is carrying something. So better safe than sorry. Do a quick little hanitize, let them go and play, and then every time they come back to you before they touch anything, then hanitize again. Tip number 9, bring Band-Aids. I hate Band-Aids. I'm not gonna lie, I totally hate Band-Aids, but they make kids happy and they help them to get over those little scrapes or bruises a whole heck of a lot quicker than they would otherwise. So tip number 9 was bring the Band-Aids. If that Elsa Band-Aid is going to make your kid feel better faster, then who cares? Put the Elsa Band-Aid on them. The final tip is tip number 10, which is don't be a helicopter mama. I know it's super tempting to swoop in to your child's rescue. Ultimately, that is not going to help them to develop and to build the skills that they need in order to be successful in life. So failure actually promotes mastery. So let me give you an example. Last week, my son climbed to the top of a rock climbing wall and he got stuck at the top because he had no idea how to get back down. It was his first time ever climbing that wall. And when he got to the top, he called for me. So I did come over to him and he asked me to help him to get down. I very, very easily could have just grabbed him from the top of the wall and brought him down to the ground where he would have been able to repeat the activity or move on to something else. However, that wouldn't help him. So instead, I coached him through it. I helped him to get down the wall. I obviously kept my hands behind him in order to spot him to make sure that he was able to do it in a safe way. And once he got down to the bottom, he was so excited. He turned to me and he's like, "Mama, I did it, I did it." He was just so incredibly proud of himself. And that's ultimately what we want to do. We want to help our children to develop this sense of mastery and this drive and desire in order to accomplish something. So let your child fail on occasion. I know it's hard at times, but that is ultimately going to help your child to become a more resilient individual. So that's it. Tip number 10 was don't be a helicopter mom. Hopefully you'll find these 10 tips to be helpful the next time that you are at the park with your little one or your little ones. If you liked today's video, then please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And I would love to have you as a subscriber as well. Take care. Bye.